start it off because I got a list here. Top 5 teams right now for me, easily: Minnesota Timberwolves, Boston Celtics, Denver Nuggets, Philadelphia 76ers, and Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'll just say, sneaking in number 6, my Orlando Magic right now. These are the teams that nobody wants to see right now, night in, night out. They could possibly just get you up out of here at any given time, any given night.
Well, for me, I have the 76ers, I have the Boston Celtics, I have Minnesota because they have the top of the top. I have the Sacramento Kings, and at the number 5 slot, I gotta agree with you, Fabian. I have the Orlando Magic. I'm sorry, they have the record. They ran off 9 in a row.
Just lost though last night to the Nets.
Yeah, I know.
It was on a back-to-back. That was a bad loss. Mikal Bridges went off 34 points in the first half.
Great play.
But listen, let me tell you something, boys.
Oh, I had the same Philly, Boston, and Minnesota. I got to give Minnesota a shout out. I'm not a huge fan just because I'm not a huge fan of Rudy Gobert going back to his Utah days. I also think he's overrated. But you know what? Some people are too harsh on him, though, I will say. I love Ant-Man.
Can you stop right there? How is Rudy Gobert overrated at this point? If he's on another team, another number 1 defense, like another number 1 rated in the league again.
Like, okay,
he may be the defensive player of the year right now.
Okay, let me clarify. I think Rudy Gobert's overrated when he gets put into certain discussions, like he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and that he's a better defender than certain guys in the past. Like, I don't think he's a better defender than Ben Wallace, like Dikembe Mutombo. Like, I don't think he's a better defender than these guys, especially not Ben Wallace. For me,
well, I'm sorry, but Ben Wallace ain't hopping in no time machine, bro. Rudy Gobert is here right now, and he's like, you're taking away.
When people, I said
you're doing exactly what everybody else does. And you hate. You hate when everyone does that. Why you comparing him to somebody that's not even playing to take away? Like, he might be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I mean, Don, really, honestly, because find me another guy that has multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. The guy that's been the best defender in the league multiple different times. Find me one that's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's hard.
You're probably right.
Mutombo.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be
I'm talking about just
so hard during his MVP Hall of Fame speech, bro. I am gonna be so mad. I just don't think he's like. The problem with him is offensively, he's not even coordinated. Like he has these occasional moments where he dribbles up the court in transition when no one's stopping him, and he looks fantastic. But like, dude, no, he can barely catch the ball. I watched Reggie Jackson push him out of the post. Like, he's just, and plus, I said Fabian, I answered your question, though. You asked me, how is he overrated? Okay, he's not overrated in the current league. When people start saying he's better than Ben Wallace or he's one of the best defenders of all time, I just don't agree personally. I think he's a great rim protector. He's one of the best rim protectors of all time. But I think that he doesn't go up against great enough centers one-on-one to be tested in that regard defensively, personally.
And sometimes, and at certain points, he became unplayable in playoff series.
But that's more of his offense, not his defense.
That's more of his offense. That's more of his offense, but he got put in spots where he couldn't, he had to get taken off the floor because he couldn't get out there and defend shooters. It was playing y'all one year.
Yeah, but the biggest problem, but see, here's where I push back a little bit. I actually think he was given too hard of a time with that because the problem with Utah was they couldn't stay in front of the ball at all. Like Royce O'Neal was their best defender, and he was getting cooked by Reggie. I'm not gonna lie. And so, he had to pick his poison, and the scheme was to let Terrence Mann shoot threes, which it still is to this day, by the way. He's not shooting well from 3. And Terrence just happened to have the biggest game of his life and the biggest game in Clipper history, which is why he's so beloved by fans. But what I was going to say about Gobert, I was actually going to give him credit. See, I always shit on him because I don't like him. But he's never had this kind of perimeter point of attack defense. He's always had to bail out Utah. Now he's got McDaniels, Ant-Man, Kyle Anderson, Conley's no slouch, and he's got Towns, who's another 7-footer who's not known for defense, but that's a lot of size and length on the court. So he's
Carl actually playing like he cares about defense this year. Like if you watch them, like.
So right now, in all of our power rankings,
my final team was the Milwaukee Bucks because they've been playing a lot better lately, and I think teams are I know they lost that game to Chicago, which was horrendous, but they've been playing pretty well lately, And I think people are really harsh on them, to be honest. Like, they're still a very good team. Dame is still going to be dangerous at the end of games. He's not playing very well, shooting the ball. But it's going to take time, but they're still going to be right there with anyone. To me, the main X factor is Kris Middleton. What kind of Kris Middleton you get makes such a difference to me for them. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. But I think the Oklahoma City Thunder, I watched a ton of them this season. You can easily make that argument. They're a very unique roster.
Fun to
And I've
watch.
said it many times, man. I was watching Chet this week against AD, and AD, who I think is the best defender in the NBA, he was having some trouble because Chet, I mean, he's not going to be able to block his shot, like straight up. And then Jalen Williams from Santa Clara has been so good, and people just don't talk about him enough, in my opinion.
I ordered my Jalen Williams jersey already. I love
Oh,
that.
wow.
I love that kid.
Wow.
Fleet, before you go, I just wanted, because All Ball put the post yesterday with Ant-Man versus KG, who had the better first 3 years with the Timberwolves. And I just wanted to keep highlighting that Dom real quick, because they're the number one team in the league within Ant-Man's first 3 years in the league. Let's not forget.
That's not it's not over though, bro. We can't say that the number one team. It's 20 games.
Dom, just slow down. If Karl Anthony Towns was the number one draft pick, top 3,
number one,
I would think, and for me, maybe I'm bugging, he was projected to be a way better player than what Ant-Man was supposed to be. Like, this is supposed to happen a long time ago with Minnesota, and it didn't. Ant-Man's making up for all this slack. And yes, they developed the team and everything. Now, looking back on it, on top of this, we were kind of laughing at Minnesota for trading all those draft picks for Gobert. That's turning out to be a legit trade we made a mistake on. And everybody keeps laughing at the Knicks for having all these draft picks. No longer. Them draft picks was turn us around is within 2 years, apparently, if you got Gobert.
Good point.
So Minnesota should get a lot more credit for doing what they're doing right now.
I'll talk about my top 5 teams, but to talk, just to piggyback on what you were saying, I think we had a conversation offline about the Ant-Man KG comparison that two was talking about, and it is not a knock against Kevin Garnett, because his entire tenure as a Minnesota Timberwolf is A1. Like, you can't argue it. But if we're talking about the first 3 years of KG, he's about 15 points a game and 8 rebounds a game, right? That's his first 3 years as a Timberwolf. They make the playoffs 1 year, they get swept. They make the playoffs his 3rd year, and they get bounced. They get bounced both times in the first round. This is back when the first round was best of 5. Right. So the first time they lost 3 in a row to Houston, and the second series, the second year they lost to like Seattle, I think. But they were a playoff team, but you could see that KG was on his way, but he hadn't even reached where he was going to become. In year 4, he's not even talking about this year. Last year, in year 3 for Ant-Man, he was an all-star. He was arguably top 5 at his position. He had them in the playoffs for another year in a row, I believe. And this year, they are top 5 in defense and top 5 in offense right now. Like, they are a damn good team, and that's really all because of who Anthony Edwards is. So, to kind of tie that into this top 5, who are the best teams in the league currently right now? I have Minnesota, I have Denver, I have Boston, I have Milwaukee, and I have OKC. That's what I have is the best teams in the league. Philly is right outside. For me, and that's because and that's because we're getting into the portion of the season where they are going to start sitting Joel from time to time. We may not see Joel for a week. It's just the facts. Y'all know this time of year. We played 20 games first quarter of the season. Now we on the second quarter of the season. You might not see Joel every night. So they'll be right outside, because when Joel's on the floor, Philly is one of the best teams in the league, hands down. What him and Maxey are doing is next to none. So yeah, those are my top 5 teams.
I'm loving it. Let's get to these comments.